We head over to our Reign segment to look at the playoff semifinal match between the Reign and the Kansas City Current, a 2-0 loss. So the Reign season ends in the semifinal round. It's a shutout, so there's no player of the game here. This was just a really tough match. You know, I talked about moments at the Mariners segment. I talked about being burnt out last night. It's tough, you know, when your baseball team loses in the playoffs in the ALDS, when they probably could have gone farther. The Storm don't reach the title in Supers last year. The Sounders missed the playoffs. The Seawolves lose the title game. What did I say? I feel like I said Seahawks. The Seawolves, pardon me, the rugby team lose in the MLR title. It's tough. It's been tough. It's great to have gotten there, but it's tough, you know. And with this group, this is a special group that won the Shield this year. I've got my Reign Shield shirt on that I bought yesterday, but it kind of feels like a moot point with the loss here. But you know, it's it's really tough and disappointing. Early on, the Reign looked a little bit shaky. Looked like there was some nerves there, just getting passes off. That early goal seemed like one that maybe, first of all, should have been cleared from the box. And then secondly, looked like it could have been a potentially good save for Fallon. But it's one goal. This team can come back. They've shown that they can come back before. As the first half continued on, it really seemed like technically Seattle. The Reign were knocking on the door for a goal. Jeff Fishlock had some great hits, but A.D. Franch, the continuous, the constant in this match was A.D. Franch. She continued just save after save, was incredible for Kansas City, and you see why she was such a big impact on some of those Portland teams that won NWSL titles and was great for so long. There were so many of them. Jordan Heidema had a header in the first half that you thought could have been a goal, but was kind of right at Franch. It's tough because I mentioned these really opportune chances, but then a bunch of them were consequentially right at Franch in goal, and that doesn't help either. So at the second half part of it was also tough because, again, it felt like the Reign were knocking on the door. It felt like an earlier part of the season where the Reign just had a bunch of chances, but they couldn't convert. And there were matches very similar like this where you would have that chances part of it, and you'd give up a few goals that normally wouldn't be given up. The goals that the Reign gave up in this one, 9 times out of 10, I bet you don't happen. You know, the Reign have been really solid defensively throughout the year, and they just weren't to begin this game for that first goal. And the second one was just a poor clearance. So, yeah, this is a really tough one to stomach. But at the end of the day, I imagine you see most of this club return. You know, Fallon's locked up for a few years. Lou Barnes is a free agent, but I don't expect her to go anywhere at this stage of her career. Sam Hyatt and Alana Cook, you've got 2 great center backs there. Sophia Huerta, incredible on the outside. You know, in the midfield, just Fishlock, the tiny dragon. Rose Lavelle, incredible. Rose in this one seemed a little bit more hesitant to shoot, which is tough because she was one of the top 5 in the NWSL in shots this year, and you would have liked to see some of that. Olivia Vanderjagt as a rookie, great impact, and I'm sure will only get better with the influence of that midfield. We look at the attack in Megan Rapinoe, Bethany Balser, Jordan Heidema. You can't ask for much more than that. And then these are only some of the roster. And, you know, you lost Angelina, Tobin Heath, Sinclair Miramontes, all to season-ending injuries. Who knows what Tobin Heath could have done with more time with this club. Angelina, just continuing to see her influence in the midfield. So, I mean, that's most of your injury report against the Current. Nobody else was on the injury report outside of those that were normally out with their season-ending injuries. Angelina, Tobin Heath, Sinclair Miramontes, Jody Elkalil. But this is a really tough one to stomach, and this one will sting. You look at the last real 4 seasons for the Reign here, all of them have ended in the playoffs in the semifinal round. It's just, when are you going to be able to get over that hump? So, and unfortunately, I know it wasn't the final round in this one, and it wasn't the NWSL title, but 3 times in the playoffs, Kansas City has eliminated you. The first 2 times you reached the NWSL title, obviously there were also 2 different franchises, but those 2 times and then this one. So it's a really tough one. We'll have an article on it later today. I wasn't able to get that this morning just because of time constraints, but yeah, this was a tough loss to stomach, and just was pretty difficult. We'll have a season in review for you next week. In terms of team-related news, there is one positive here. The Reign announced on the 20th that they will begin training at Starfire in 2023. They've signed a multi-year agreement with Starfire Sports, and the facility will serve as the club's training site beginning in February. It's a great move. I know that the Reign have been practicing at a high school prior to this, and so to get this Starfire that already where the Seawolves play, where the Sounders were playing and will until their primary facility is built just across the way, this is big to give them their own proper facility instead of on a high school field down in Tacoma. Now you're practicing up where your actual games take place, and it's just a better facility all in all. So there's a positive in that. And it was a great Reign season. We'll go over it next year. Just it's tough. It's really tough. I feel for the players. I really do. I texted a few of them that I know. I'm like, hey, I'm really proud of you for what you're able to accomplish. Great to see the 3rd highest crowd in NWSL playoff history turn out for this match. Easily the highest Reign attendance for a playoff match ever. And I think just the standalone record in general. So great. It was a great all except for the result. So we look at league-related news here as we wrap up Reign. October 17th, the San Diego Wave set the attendance mark for an NWSL playoff game with 26,215 fans. And then on October 18th, FIFA is tracking the NWSL investigations. The chief women's football officer, Sarah Behrman, says that FIFA is keeping a very close eye on the Yates report ahead of the 2023 World Cup. So looking ahead for the Reign, we're going to have the season review for you next week, and we'll really dive into this past year just like we did with the Mariners and Sounders today.